The Young Lion did it again. We have a special guest joining us here for a very special episode. This is one E-Rock, Erik Nagel of the It's Erik Nagel Show, former producer of Opie and Anthony. He's going to be coming on here talking to us today about some wrestling.
Yeah, I saw E-Rock in the city the other day. I did a show, and he was there, and it was just amazing to meet him. I've been a big fan of his forever. He's been on Opie and Anthony forever. He's met so many wrestlers like Stone Cold, The Rock when they used to come into the office and everything. And you know his picks on WrestleMania and his thoughts. We wanted to get a couple words from him. So.
And a big shout out to Mike here, not only securing a guest, but going on some other shows and promoting our own show. We got to give a lot of love to the young lion. He's almost a full lion at this point. He's not young anymore. So we got to give some love there to Big Mike.
In Hot Water on Compound Media. You can check it out.
Yeah. Let's take a listen. Hey, everybody, we got a special guest with us right now, Erik Nagel, a.k.a. E-Rock, the former producer of the Opie and Anthony Show, and he's got his own show. How you doing, sir?
Good, guys. How are you?
Doing great, man. Doing great. We're just talking about some wrestling, a little WrestleMania this weekend. Did you happen to catch WrestleMania this weekend? Obviously. I mean, it's a silly question.
I mean, look, based on the name of your show, wrestling was the last thing I think you guys would be talking about.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, well, we just finished talking about the stock market, so I figured we'd throw in some little WrestleMania.
Just a tiny bit.
So what did you think about WrestleMania? How did it go for you?
Honestly, I thought a lot of people. How do I put this? The no pun on using this phrase, but the backlash from WrestleMania, I thought was unwarranted. Okay, some people were like it's too long, but I thought the card, even the pre-show card, was very solid. Like I thought almost all of it was really good. I think a couple of the matches suffered from crowd fatigue because it was going on for too long, like the AJ Styles Shinsuke Nakamura match. I thought was really good, but I don't think the audience was really responding to it because everyone was tired by that point.
Yeah.
And it's like WrestleMania has turned into like Times Square in New York City. You have to line up there at like 10 in the morning, right? And then you get like cattle, you get led into gates and factions that they seal off on the streets there, and you can't leave that place until New Year's when they open it up. So you're there. People are wearing diapers. They're just peeing in the street.
Yeah.
You know, they're tag teaming where maybe they could run into the Verizon mobile store and hopefully they'll let them use the bathroom or something. But you're stuck there all day just for an event that technically starts on TV at 8 p.m. and then the big event is at midnight, and that lasts a minute. You know,
Yeah.
The ball drops, the confetti goes. They're playing New York, New York, followed by John Lennon's Imagine. Everybody's fake kissing and hugging like they love each other. And within 5 to 10 minutes, when they leave Ryan Seacrest and pan back to the street, almost all of it is empty, and the sanitation crews are out there cleaning up everything. That's what WrestleMania has turned into. You got to get there super early, and you're stuck there for almost 6-7 hours of programming. So I think a lot of the matches did. Towards the end suffered because of the crowd fatigue and just, the length of the pay-per-view. But all in all, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2 matches, I think everything was really good.
What were the 1 or 2 matches that you actually weren't a big fan of?
All right, look, the Raw Tag Team Championship match, I thought that was hysterical that he brought somebody legitimately out of the crowd to do this.
Yeah.
Honestly, in a perfect world, you would have hoped that kid wouldn't have been as nervous as he was. You would hope for somebody who was super excited to hop in there and then realize they're going to get their ass kicked by Sheamus and then run back and slap Strowman's hand to come back in. But that kid was just pissing his pants. Like, he's there. He might not even be the big wrestling fan. It might be his brother. That the parents brought them out there, too, and he's the one that got picked.
Well, the rumor is that's one of the ref's son.
Oh, it's a plant?
Yeah, it's a plant. So even as a plant, he did horrible.
Well, I was just going to say, what a crappy plant.
Yeah, pretty much.
I say that about a kid, but any other kid would have been like, oh, my God, I'm in a WWE ring, and I just won the tag team championships.
Yeah.
But you know who he should have brought on is the kid who got the Warrior Award. That kid would have been dancing.
Yeah.
James Brown, one
JJ.
slide off to the side. That would have been very entertaining.
I agree with you. That would have been a great pick.
No, I would have
He
been.
was backstage, so I don't know why they didn't.
Yeah, I would have been too afraid the kid would get hurt. Like
Yeah.
he's so tiny and scrawny. It's like
The kid's 15. Looks like
yeah,
he's
I know,
fucking
but
8.
that's his.
And you
disease.
weren't scared for the 10-year-old? What's wrong?
10-year-old Nicholas.
I wasn't scared for the kid at all. In fact, because I have a very, I don't really have a positive outlook towards society anymore.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping, like, if this really goes good or bad, I was hoping it would be like the WCW days, like when they revealed Hogan and everyone just started throwing garbage into the ring. I was just like, oh man, if they just chucked all these cups and stuff in while the kid was there because they were unhappy with the match, I would have been so happy, and then I would have subscribed to the network for the entire year.
Well, I know we were actually kind of hoping that he would turn heel on Strowman and then actually be a bar fan and like show up his bar shirt and just walk away.
Imagine that.
Or if he power slammed the kid.
Kid gets a bro kick.
That was the wrong time to do the heel turn. And then Cesaro and Sheamus are looking like, what the hell's going on? They're backing away from the ring uncomfortably because you just power slammed a child.
That would be great.
That would only happen during the Attitude Era.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, or the Vince Russo, whatever company he was delegated to.
Yeah, that would have been
Makes sense.
that would have been a Nicholas on the pole match right there.
Just hanging up there.
Get over Mondays, we gotta choke slam a child.
Or you're fired.
So, what was your favorite match at WrestleMania this year?
My favorite match. Let's see. I'm trying to remember everything. I was very happy with the Andre Battle Royal that Matt Hardy won.
Yeah.
Because I honestly didn't expect him to win, even when it was down to the final 3. I was like, all right, Matt's going to go. And then I was just pissed because I hate Baron Corbin.
Join the club, buddy.
Yeah, everyone fucking here hates him.
You are now my favorite person.
Technically okay, but I just think he's boring as hell. And it's just like looking at nothing. And it's just I just don't enjoy him. I've tried to give him the benefit of the doubt, even in NXT, and he's nothing to look at. And when it was down to him, Matt Hardy, and who else was in there? Was it Mojo, I think?
Yeah, I think it was Mojo, Baron, and Matt. And they were like, oh, the last 2 winners.
One of these guys is gonna double up here, which made no sense to me because neither one of those two, I'm not talking about Hardy, but Mojo and Baron, have done nothing since winning. Like, they should have used that as a platform to launch off of, and they've done nothing, And then when Matt Hardy won, I was like, oh my God, this is a great, and they're really using it as this weird spiritual, awakening for them where, the giant, that is Andre, and now it's like a religious symbol to whatever Matt Hardy's doing here. I thought that the ending of that was really good. I thought the Charlotte Flair Asuka match, I didn't expect her to lose. I honestly thought that Asuka would have won the title and
Yeah.
then kept another streak going until either SummerSlam or maybe the next WrestleMania. I thought they may have done like a Brock Lesnar kind of thing with her where she was just invincible. But if she had to lose to anybody, I think it made sense to lose to Charlotte.
I agree with you. I thought that was a great moment. But also then on SmackDown, we saw that Charlotte lost her title thanks to the Money in the Bank winner, Carmella. What are your thoughts on the Money in the Bank?
That is hard. Money in the Bank, I'll get to in a second, but that incident on SmackDown was horrible. They totally botched this whole thing. And the reason is because if you look at the two, I don't know if the Iconics are supposed to be sisters or lesbians or whatever they are.
I hope lesbians.
But
I'm sorry. I mean,
Lesbian sisters would be the best combination there.
Yeah.
look at Peyton Royce, right? She's very pretty, but there's no muscle tone and there's no muscle on her. And there's barely a step up with the other girl. I can't remember her name.
Billie Kay.
And the two of them beating up Charlotte, who is just naturally jacked. You know, it's like none of that seemed realistic, especially so when they were trying to pick her up and put her in the ring, and they could barely lift her. Like,
Yeah, I was
they
wondering
just
what
kick
was
the
up with
crap out
that.
of her, but they can't lift her up.
Do you think Charlotte like dead weighted them?
I hope so.
That's what I was thinking.
This doesn't make any fucking sense. And I'll do it because I'm a professional, but she, you know, she's going to do it begrudgingly. I hope she did dead weight. I didn't even think about that. That is brilliant.
Yeah.
But if you look at those 2-0s just trying that beat the crap out of her, and then they couldn't lift her into the ring for the obvious setup that Carmella was going to come running out. Yeah, I just think the whole thing was botched because none of it is believable. Those two were the ones that beat the crap out of her to pave way for Carmella to come doing it. If she was beaten up by, I don't know, maybe if it was a revenge thing by Asuka or Nia Jax or somebody a bit bigger that you could believe would beat the crap out of her, then yeah, I think it would have sold the story better. But you used the two most weakest, pathetic-looking ones that are, you know, no bigger than just YouTube models that beat the crap out of this, you know, this huge woman who's is obviously very athletically gifted. Yeah, the whole thing just fell. It was a bad way to handle it. I know SmackDown was trying to make their Raw moment. Like, it was obvious this SmackDown that they were trying to make. Well, it's not just the Raw after WrestleMania that's crazy. Now SmackDown's a part of it too. So like they're really trying to make WrestleMania a complete week of events.
Yeah.
But the SmackDown just reeked of desperation when they did it. Money in the Bank in general has become, it was a great concept at first, but it's become so annoying and pathetic now, where you saw when Carmella came in, the stupid ref, what? You sure you want to do this?
Yeah, that ref had milked that.
Right? It was really bad this time, but the previous time, who had the male?
Baron Corbin.
Yeah, of course, he's another.
Yeah.
Thing he's gonna,
Another winner.
So he goes to use the thing, and they have to wait. Like the ref has to wait for the guy. Who did he use it on?
I believe he used it on AJ.
Yeah.
It was on AJ. Okay, so the ref had to wait for AJ to get up. You know, like to stand up to fight on this thing. It used to be. Remember the first one with Edge? It was on that New Year's Revolution pay-per-view.
Yeah, Cena was down, and then Edge's music hit.
Right? Didn't Cena have the title then?
Yeah, Cena was down. The music hit. He was still down.
Music hit. He walked out with Vince, handed it to Vince, and he said, "Go." He ran into the ring. The second he slid into the ring, the bell rang. He hopped on, pinned him, and won. That's how it's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Now there's all this fanfare where you have to play the music to announce that they're coming out, which that drives me nuts too. You can't do a surprise attack by announcing throwing it on the Titantron that the music and the graphics are playing. They run out there, and then the refs sitting there like, "You sure?" It takes so long for them to actually ring the bell after handing it in, and then they make the announcement. So now you're sitting there waiting. It's like, all right, this could have been done. You're already 2 minutes into the whole pomp and circumstances of doing this, and then the bell rings, and then it either happens out. And even though they win or if they lose, at that point, who cares? Because it's just taking too long, and you lost all the surprise, the adrenaline, the enthusiasm. Because at this point, if they win or lose, it took forever. It's like, oh, cool, they won, or oh, cool, they lost. But it's just like, you should have just ran in with the case, handed it to him, the bell rang, done, in and out. That's what's supposed to be the fun part about Money in the Bank, and they don't do it anymore, and it's gotten worse over the years, and I don't know why they're dragging it out pathetically.
That's true.
Damn.
And there's going to be a pay-per-view in, June?
We'll have to have you back on and talk about the Money in the Bank pay-per-view that's coming up in 2 months.
The pay-per-view's fine. I love the pay-per-view because it's the closest thing you get to like a TLC match nowadays.
Yeah.
So, it's fine. I enjoy it. It's always pretty dramatic with the back and forth. Is this guy going to get it? No, is this guy going to get it? The pay-per-view's great. The actual, the way they...
The booking. It's the booking of the Money in the Bank winners. It just sucks nowadays.
Again, I don't even know if it's the booking. It's the long, drawn-out, ceremonial nonsense that goes with it when you go to cash in. If somebody obviously got, the crap beat out of them, and like for next year, right? If Brock still has his streak going with, and still has the championship, which I hope he does, because I love nothing more than this pisses off a lot of fans that he's I'll get into that in a second. Remind me about that. But if he was laying there in the middle of the ring, and they say the Shield came back and just beat the crap out of him, right? And whoever had Money in the Bank ran in.
Mm-hmm.
If you heard them, he's trying to get up and you hear the music going, and the guy walks out, showboats, holds the thing, then he walks down with the suitcase or the briefcase, hands it to the ref. They got to do the announcement of it, and you're already a couple minutes in before you lost all momentum of the sneak attack of using Money in the Bank.
That's like Ziggler's. When Ziggler came down, he had the music. It took him a while, but just because it was that WrestleMania crowd, he got the biggest pop.
Yeah, it should be. It doesn't matter, even if it's at WrestleMania. Like when Seth Rollins did it, right?
Mm-hmm.
At least if I remember correctly, Seth's wasn't even that long.
He ran down, he handed it to the guy, they rang the bell.
Seth has that adrenaline pumping music, right? Where you just saw an amazing match, and all of a sudden, none of that's going on. He's running down. You're riding the wave of adrenaline off the music, off everything that happened. He ran in, cashed in. He's moving around. He's going crazy. Does it, takes the belt right off of Roman Reigns within like a couple minutes. That was the right way to do it. Since then, they've slowed it down and drawn it out. So, hey, do you see, everybody? He's going to cash this in now. It's like, just do it.
Yeah, I get that if you're trying to do the tease.
Watching, you don't need to tell everybody what they're seeing.
Like, if you're trying to do the tease and you want to do all that stuff like they were doing with Carmella, that makes sense. But I guess when you actually cash in, yeah, it should be a surprise.
It should be a surprise. You shouldn't hear the music. You should just remember the old days when somebody was going to run into the ring. You would, you'd be watching the match, and then all of a sudden you'd hear the crowd start. You could hear the audio naturally pan just because the crowd in the back is now getting excited, and then it's riding a wave to the front. Somebody hops in through the ring, and you're like, "Oh my God, they're there!" And then just beating the crap out of the other guy. That was the whole thing. What you don't see on camera. And then it shows up in frame. It was the exciting part, and they stopped doing that. And I don't get why they keep doing that. I don't know why I'm this mad about it either. They keep playing the music and all this stuff, and it's like, stop walking people through the process. Let them figure it out.
No, that's true.
That makes sense.
Because that is, I like that when there's actual surprise, and like the camera will pan to a close up of two guys, and then out of nowhere they're getting hit from behind, and the whole crowd's going crazy.
I mean, the closest thing they do to that now is, Undertaker and Bray Wyatt, where the lights go out and then they pop back on, they're in the ring. And that's kind of cool because, I mean, even when the lights go out, it's who it's going to be. But as far as the, element of surprise, they don't do that anymore. They
except
show
that
the surprise coming like a mile away. And also another thing, too, with the WrestleMania crowds, is really distracting when you're watching a match and then you see, the TV side, first several rows by the ring, they're all, something's going on. And then they constantly are looking to the right to see if someone's going to come running out.
Yeah, you can see that on the hard camera.
I guess all in all, I hate wrestling fans.
Yeah, we all do.
Included.
That's fair. You mentioned Seth Rollins earlier, and he's the new Intercontinental Champion. How do you feel about that?
Good. I think, he's a good mouthpiece and he's a great wrestler. I think it'll be great. The problem I'm having with the Intercontinental Championship is that it seems to be they reversed the importance of the Intercontinental Championship. That used to be the stepping stone before moving you up to main event status, where you have all these legendary, like when they love to reflect on the Intercontinental history, then they look back at, obviously Pat Patterson was the first one. Then you had Ricky Steamboat and Randy Savage, all these legends that held the belt. Shawn Michaels, because, he changed, I mean, he was a great performer too, but he changed the color of the belt, so that was a big deal. And then, the Honky Tonk Man, they don't even acknowledge anymore, even because he had the longest record for the longest time, and then it got beaten or something like, I don't know what it is, but they just don't acknowledge he was ever part of it anymore, which I always find funny, because that's all he does. If you ever see him at conventions or stuff like that.
That's all he talks about.
He has the belt. He's like, I'm the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, blah, blah, blah. But then you look at his table and it's like, that's the WCW Championship belt.
Yeah.
You didn't even hold that title. So the thing was that you were, if you were a singles performer and you got the Intercontinental belt, it gave you a chance to show what you could do, develop your character as a champion before they moved you up to main event status, where then you could potentially compete for the heavyweight championship.
Yeah.
And now it seems in the last several years, a lot of people win the heavyweight championship, and then down the line they're competing for the Intercontinental championship. And it doesn't make any sense. Like when you had Daniel Bryan winning the championship, the heavyweight championship. You had Roman Reigns recently, he won the championship and then was fighting for the Intercontinental championship for a while, and now they're putting back up on the main event status again. Seth Rollins, like that, he needed it to complete, the Grand Slam, which that doesn't really mean a whole hell of a lot anymore. I just don't get why these guys get bigger pushes for the bigger titles and then work their way down. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I used to like when somebody would get the Intercontinental Championship, and it was like, wow, someday, probably in about another year or two, that guy's going to be competing for the heavyweight championship, and it's not that way anymore. There's just no rhyme or reason to winning a title, and I think that really muddied the waters as far as, building the character, building the storylines, building, the actual roster itself, because it used to be amazing when you'd have the heavyweight championship, heavyweight champion fighting the Intercontinental champion. That was like pay-per-view level match.
Yeah, you felt like it was two stars in the ring together, like.
Yeah, I mean, that was something. Wasn't the Hogan Warrior?
Yeah, it was title versus title, yeah.
Yeah, title versus title thing like that. That was a pay-per-view style match. And now it's just like, you know what? Let's just throw it in the second hour of Raw. It's like,
yeah, absolutely.
I just don't get it.
I agree. Actually, that's one of the things that I always thought they did absolutely wrong with Roman Reigns, where, like you say, there's no rhyme and reason. The only reason is Vince likes the guy, so they're gonna rocket strap him. They're gonna rocket strap him to the top. Forget the other titles. He's a heavyweight champion now.
Right. Yeah, I don't like Roman Reigns. Nothing against him personally, and I mean he's a decent wrestler and stuff, but people complain about Cena only having a certain amount of moves. Like Roman has even less.
Yeah.
Sure.
And they constantly keep forcing him to compete at the top level. But to WWE's credit, the fact that they constantly keep embarrassing him and making him lose is very entertaining, and I really enjoy the fact that he constantly loses. I honestly, I had a very small glimmer of hope of being a naive wrestling fan that the end of WrestleMania, when the Lesnar-Roman Reigns match, the fact that Lesnar won, I was hoping was an accident or they were forced into it, because you saw how bad Roman was bleeding. His whole face was covered.
Yeah, that was old school blood.
That was and I was like, maybe this got too out of hand, especially for the PG era, that they just had to make the call. Again, for a second, I was like, maybe that's what. And then I go, no, you're not that stupid. Lesnar's probably staying.
Yeah.
And then the next day, hey, Brock Lesnar signs a 3-year deal with WWE. Now, I don't know if that was originally in the works, especially, there was a lot of buzz with Dana White talking about that Lesnar would come back to the UFC. And everybody thought that he potentially blew the main match for WrestleMania. So maybe he did, and WWE just threw more money at Lesnar. Like, who knows what it was? Maybe that's what they were supposed to do originally. But on the other hand, too, as I was reading into it, it's like I forgot that Lesnar's got that suspension that he has to deal with. So even if he comes back, he still has to sit out 6 months.
Yeah.
Because of the suspension before he can even fight.
So maybe that's what he's doing now. Who knows?
Who knows? But if my hope now is this, and again, take it for what you will, because anytime you try to talk seriously about WWE, you're going to look a fool, because it's all pre-worked out. But if Lesnar is signed for 3 years, and say they lend him to UFC to do a fight or something now and then, which means WWE is going to get a piece of it, the dumb wrestling, the young wrestling fan in me is hoping that he just shows up at UFC with the WWE belt just to piss the MMA fans off. You know, he walks out with the belt on his strap, on his shoulder or something like that, and then he puts it down and does the UFC fight. And if he wins, even better. I just loved that. I mean, when I thought wrestling fans were bad, the MMA fans can be just as bad, if not worse.
So true.
Oh yeah, that would suck though. That if he lost and now he has to pick up the belt and walk out with it. You know what I mean? Like, all right, let me go back to WWE.
Shows how meaningless it would be.
Yeah.
But you know what? Lesnar doesn't care about either company, and good for him. I mean, you saw what he did that one UFC fight where he said he liked Budweiser and fuck Coors.
Yeah.
He could have a Coors and fuck Budweiser. But Budweiser was the sponsor, and then he had to come out later on that pay-per-view and apologize.
Yeah.
Because Dana's like, that's the fucking sponsor. You got to take care of them. And then he go back there and he apologized on the pay-per-view. But it just shows he doesn't care.
That's neat.
I actually do like Coors and Bud Light. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
You mentioned UFC. What did you think of Ronda Rousey's debut?
I thought her match was excellent. I really thought she sold it well. I really thought when she was doing the rapid punches to Triple H, I mean, it was great for him. I mean, good that he was selling that as much as he was.
Mm-hmm.
But she shows that she can pull it off. You know, she still got a way to go, but you watch that whole match and like she's got it down. She knows what she's doing, and obviously they were catering that match towards her favor. But if it shows that later on, like say SummerSlam or something like that, where she's going to do a more serious wrestling match where it's going to be more involved. I'll say not more serious. She's got the skills to get it done and to sell everything. So I think she's in that part. She's fine. Her moseying on down the platform every time, waving to people is horrible.
Yeah.
I think she really needs to, like, she can't be this high, oh my God, I'm at Wrestlemania, and then she's got the evil face where she kicks the shit out of somebody. I think she needs to work on that a little bit. I mean, who am I to tell her what to do? She's way more credible and accomplished than I am. But
You mean believable as a character? Like, not hi, I'm Ronda Rousey, like, this is who I am at all times, not like, oh, I'm here, and then I'm smiling, now I'm in fight mode, and then...
She's believable as a wrestler. She's proven that. She's not believable as a character right now.
Yeah.
She's still a little off. She's not the greatest on the microphone. I was really hoping that, she would pick up Paul Heyman as a mouthpiece, because if she was just silent, like, if they made a heel turn on her, which hopefully they will, where she's just going to destroy the women's division. If they could just give her a mouthpiece where she can just she can strut, she can grunt, she just shows disinterest in everything. Because if she could be like a female Brock, I think that would really make a lot of sense and a lot of money for the company if they did it that way. If she just needed a mouthpiece, hopefully Heyman, but even if not, somebody else who's outspoken, and Ronda doesn't have to talk or that much, I think that really would add a whole nother level to her, to not only her being impressive, but to like her mystique and her intimidation against people. Believability, I think. I just think she needs somebody else to talk for her.
Definitely Heyman, though. I can't see anyone else but Heyman running the mic for her.
That would be great. Or if they could find a female equivalent, that would make sense to keep it in the women's division without having to bring Heyman into it. Would also work. I would prefer Heyman, but if you can find somebody on par to speak for her, that would be an advocate for her in the female division, that I think would work as well.
I mean, I would do it. Any day she wants me to talk for her, I'll hop right in. And,
all right, Mike, calm down.
Calm down, buddy.
Right.
Calm down.
Tweet at them. They respond to their tweets. I'm sure she'll get right back to you.
Oh yeah,
We'll have to edit your tweets there. Mike.
Yeah.
One more question before we let you go. I don't know if you happened to catch NXT TakeOver New Orleans over the weekend, but if you did, which did you prefer? Did you prefer WrestleMania or TakeOver?
I honestly didn't, because I was doing something that night, so I didn't get a chance to watch it. I meant to go back on the network and watch it, and I didn't. But from what I read and what people were telling me, they said it was amazing.
I can tell you from I watched it the night before, and to me it was the greatest show of the weekend. Top to bottom, every match was fantastic, and I watched with my roommate, who's not a big wrestling fan, but we watched the main event Gargano-Ciampa match, and we had to rewind it a bunch of times because he could not believe the stuff that these two were doing to each other. So it was insane.
I have an issue with it. Not an issue. I have a problem with NXT in the sense that, and it's only because of me. It's that sometimes I forget to watch it or I forget to follow it, so I don't know what's going on for a while. And then there's time periods where I'm all about it. I'm watching and I know everything that's going on, and I'm just in one of those peaks and valleys situation where right now I haven't watched NXT in a long time, so I don't really know a whole hell of a lot about what's going on. I saw that tag team got moved up. Authors of Pain, is that their name?
That's correct.
Yeah. And that's a horrible tag team name, because all I kept thinking of is like, oh, they're like the Powers of Pain, or they're like this thing. And I'm like, oh, is this the new Ascension that no one's going to give a shit about? But yeah, they're coming out with the military gear and just being like, foot soldiers kind of thing, and
it's like a shittier Shield.
Yeah, it's like Shield. It's like Shield. It's like, and there's another tag team I was thinking that they were like, and I can't remember, but I think they're dropping the manager too, right? Wasn't that the whole?
Yeah,
thing?
the whole thing was there. Yeah, they're dropping Paul Ellering on camera because they want to do this on their own, but backstage because Paul Ellering doesn't want to leave Florida.
He's like, I ain't fucking traveling the world anymore. Fucking 58.
Yeah, he's done enough in his career.
Yeah.
He's like, I've had other tag teams that you might have heard of.
Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
But yeah, I mean, I guess they needed some big bruisers coming in, and like, if you're gonna look on a power scale right now, they're probably the only team that can deal with the other team that has a horrible name, the Bludgeon Brothers. So those four guys are powerhouses that are probably going to be duking it out for a while. Because if you compare those four guys, those two teams, to the rest of the tag team division, it's like there's no way New Day or the Usos or whoever, I forget the other tag teams on SmackDown, but
Rhino and Heath Slater,
Breezango.
they all those, and I'm not saying that Usos and New Day are nothing. They're very entertaining, but you can just look at them. They're very sleek and silly, and they're not gonna just be brute force strength like the Authors of Pain or the Bludgeon Brothers. Yeah. But then when you get these guys that are just super dominant looking and appealing, it's just, I lose interest. It doesn't appeal to me. It doesn't. It's like I don't really want to watch these guys. I like the silliness of it, or I like the slick acrobatics, aerodynamic moves that they're doing, where it's fast moving, fast paced, things like that. But when you get these big, I know Vince has a thing for huge, solid, jacked dudes that are, larger than life, but they're the least, almost all the time, they're the least interesting. And now Bobby Lashley, they brought Bobby Lashley back. Yeah. And I was like, was he gone? Who knew?
I don't know. And a segment that didn't matter either. Like, it brought him out to crush Elias. It made no sense to me.
Don't you talk smack about Elias.
No, that's what I mean. Elias is good. Why would you have Bobby Lashley come out and bother Elias?
Yeah. See, Elias, the Elias character is interesting too, because it's awful. It really is. But now it's become an awful that you enjoy. It's not just a really bad gimmick. It's a bad gimmick that you enjoy. And he's also good in the ring. Seeing the little that he's done, you're like, he knows what he's doing. It's pretty good. But when you get like guys like Bobby Lashley, it's like, how does a black guy be so vanilla? That's what Bobby Lashley is. And he comes out. I mean, what do you remember him for? Oh, the Trump hair shaving match. And why do you remember that? Oh, because Trump's president. That's the only reason you remember he was in that match. And then he goes and does MMA, and I don't think he made any impression out there. I didn't follow his career, so I don't know. But
he was pretty successful in Bellator.
And then he was in TNA, right? Wasn't he champion?
Yeah, he was a 2 or 3 time champ for them down in Impact.
What good did that do for him? Nothing. So now he's back here, and he's going to be, a mid-carder again. And it's just, he's this big dude. I guess he can move fast, but there's nothing to him. There really isn't. And he's going to fall in the lines of other big dudes that come in that are impressive for a little bit, and then you just lose all of interest. Like Titus O'Neil. Who cares about Titus O'Neil?
Nobody.
Even though they've
Dana Brooke.
Who cares? He's not interesting.
Dana Brooke. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Well, that was pretty cool. Thanks for talking to us today, man. We really appreciate you taking the time. We'd love to talk to you.
Yeah, sorry. It seems like all I was doing was lecturing you guys.
No, dude. Please.
It's all good, man. It's all good. We were called the Nerd to the Square Circle for a reason, because we love nerding out about wrestling. So.
Oh, I forgot what your show name was. That's it.
No problem.
Got anything you want to plug, E-Rock?
Yeah, you can listen to my show. It's Erik Nagel. It's available anywhere you download shows, but most importantly, we're on iHeartRadio, so you can find us on the iHeartRadio app, Spotify, Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, all that nonsense. You can even tell Alexa to play the program It's Erik Nagel. It'll do it through there, and also Google Home. And you can listen to myself, Matt OG, and Giddles do this show every week. It's the other side of mainstream pop culture, so when you see a lot of shows that say pop culture and mainstream, I mean, everybody uses those buzzwords now, and I hate it. I'm trying to find a different way to describe it. But most of the time, they're talking about Real Housewives or Kardashians or, the garbage that's on Extra and Access Hollywood, and then they're always surprised, like, I can't believe another superhero movie made $1 billion. What's going on here? It's like, you know what's going on here,
Yeah.
you idiots. You just don't fucking read or, bother to explain what's really happening. But we talk about the other side of mainstream pop culture, where we talk about not just in a nerdy way, but in a more broader way that hopefully explains things to you and gets you to understand and maybe even want to find out more and enjoy some of these things that we discuss. So when we talk movies, TV, video games, a lot of nerd podcasts or nerd shows out there do all that stuff, but we do it in a way where it's so much it's surface level. We'll go deep if we have to, but we don't go there. It's surface that we don't go down there that much, because not everybody's a fan of everything like we are. So
Yeah.
we'll do it very surface level so we can explain things to you so that you understand what it is. And if you want to know more, we can point you in the right direction of who to talk to, what to listen to, etc. And this way, hopefully, we try to get more people into this world to see what everything's about when they don't think it. They may not give a shit about some of the stuff we talk about, but when they hear us, usually we find a lot of people turn around and go, I had no interest in seeing this movie or playing this game, but you guys kept talking about it in a way that was pretty interesting, and I wound up trying it, and then turns out I love it. So that's the whole point of our show. That's what we try to do, is to bring everybody in, and hopefully they enjoy what we're doing.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah, spread the nerdum. Spread it.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate you having me on your show, and let's do this again sometime.
Yeah, man. Thanks for taking the time. Maybe we could even have you in studio.
All right. I don't even know where you guys broadcast from.
We're in Rahway.
Perfect.
We're in
Rahway,
New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. All right.
Yeah.
It's all we could afford.
Okay, guys.
All right, thank you so
All right.
much.
Have a good
Eric.
one.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
I really thought that was a great conversation. I don't know about you, Mike.
Yeah, that was great to have him on. I'm so happy we got to have him on. He knows all about wrestling just like us. He's a nerd for this.
And I love that. I love that he had this outlet to come on here and get nerdy with us, and we'd love to do this again with him in person.
Yeah.
I'm willing to go into the city to talk with him in person. He can come out here to Jersey if he really feels like making the trip. I know it's Jersey.
No
I
one
get
wants
it.
to come to Jersey.
But it was really great talking to him. I hope to have him on again, and that was awesome.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Thank you, E-Rock.
Thank you so much, brother.
Break it down.